Hello, you lovely people. Welcome back to the channel on a Sunday afternoon, a very hot Sunday afternoon. Tattoos, body art, whatever you want to call them. I still call them tattoos. I'm old school and I have them. And this is the topic of conversation here in Asia, um, and how some people look at them and are judgmental of you. And I know this through experience. First off, we'll talk about when I was in Japan and South Korea, and then I'll go into the Philippines. When I first went to Japan, and I was there for quite some time, and I was walking through a park very close to where I lived, and the first time I went there, it was what they call Golden Week, and it's a big holiday in Japan, and people come from all over to visit family, friends, relations, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, I used to walk through this park very regular in the mornings with just a t-shirt on, and I've got sleeves, tattoo sleeves, and I didn't really observe it to begin with, but then I slowly observed how people were avoiding me. For an example, I would be walking through the park and you'd see, and it's normally older people, and this goes for most places that I'm talking about. It's not so much the younger generation, but the older generation, and they would give me a bit of a wide berth, and I just thought, well, that's fair enough. The Japanese are very very conservative. Maybe they're a bit shy, but it wasn't shy of me as such. It was shy because I had tattoos. And in Japan, it is it's normally looked upon like the Yakuza, where they have tattoos, and you might belong to a certain gang or something like that. And the older generation in Japan are still like that today. And as a perfect example of this, because everyone who has been to Japan will know about the onsens, which is the natural springs where it's warm water when you go. Well, I tried to go to one, and I was there refused. To actually go in there because of tattoos. And I kind of didn't understand why. I didn't kick up a stink or anything, but yeah, that's fair enough, And I saw people like talking, they were like looking at me, then talking, then kind of looking away. But that was because I have tattoos. Now, South Korea, when I was there, and I was in South Korea for longer. Now, it's not as bad there, but it's still, with the older generation, frowned upon. Because in the East, especially in China, the older generation look at it as a disrespectful thing to do to the parents. Meaning, if their children got tattoos at whatever age, not young age obviously, but at the age where they were allowed to get them, that is a mark of disrespect to the parents. But more and more younger people are getting tattoos all over the world. When I was I never saw young people in Japan with tattoos, but I didn't really look, to be honest with you. But I think I might have noticed it if they were wearing t-shirts. But when I was aware of my tattoos might have caused a little bit of a problem in Japan, then I started to wear long sleeve shirts. And also in these countries I'm talking about, if you have tattoos, it can affect you getting a job. I know. In the West, depending on where these tattoos are, of course, if they are like cut here and stuff like that, and on your hands where you can't hide it, then maybe it would, I don't know. But generally speaking, if you can cover them up, it's not a problem. In England, anyway, And I think probably in part of the Western world, it might have that same outlook. If you can't see them, out of sight, out of mind. Now, when I first got with Mira, and we went to I'll never forget it, we went to the 3,000 steps in Dipolog. And I was wearing a t-shirt, and she knew about my tattoos. She saw them all the time. But she said to me, before we went out, she said, Stephen, she says, you should cover them up a little bit, with it. And I said, no, why is that? And she says, because people might think you're an addict. I said, what? Are you serious? She said, yeah, really, But that's how my wife was looking upon it as well. So my wife is quite old-fashioned like that as well. And I try to explain to people here. I didn't explain anything in Japan. I was never given an opportunity to talk about tattoos or anything. But here in the Philippines, I was saying to people that people in the military, back in the UK, even people in the police force, you see them with tattoos. Not all of them, but nurses, and people like that. So with me, and she was saying, what? And the people here, they said, really? And I said, yes. It's just a way of self-expression. Now, if they were homemade tattoos, like cut here and that, and the borsal spot, I don't know what the borsal spot used to be, but there was something in the UK called a borsal spot. If you've been in young offenders institutions and borsals, you are, just a mark of, I've been to borsal, you get a borsal spot, like a tattoo. And it was even in the UK a while ago that if you had tattoos, they kind of related it to a prison or a bit of a bad boy, or you belong to a gang or an organisation that was up to no good. But that's changed in the UK. But here it still hasn't. Here in the Philippines. Now, because we come from the West, they look at us a little bit differently as a Filipino with tattoos. Now, I've seen many Filipinos with tattoos, many, and some are very good. And some of them are absolutely hideous and terrible. And the ones who have the hideous and terrible ones, and I don't mean this to discriminate, but some of them are not very nice people. And my wife has, actually said that to me. And so, or they might not have been in their younger time. When they're a little bit older, they probably, mature a bit more and keep out of trouble. But here, there are some tribes in the Philippines where they do get tattoos, and also in Thailand, where the Buddhist monks, and I forget what you call it. There's a name for it, and you go there, and it's they tattoo you, and it's a mark of spirituality and good fortune. So different countries have different outlooks on tattoos or body art, like I said, whatever you want to call it. But here in the Philippines, the older generation still have that. It's just, they still class that a little bit as it. But most people say, well, the people from the West, it's okay. From your country, it's normal. But here, not so normal. Now it's changing, it's becoming more cosmopolitan, I suppose. But in these little provinces, I don't see many, if any. I'm just trying to think if I've seen any people here with tattoos. Maybe I have, but if I have, it can't be that many. Otherwise, I would be able to say, yeah, this person had one or that person had one. But I get a lot of people here saying, where'd you get your tattoos done? England, why? And why was the question? Why? Because it meant something to me. And mine, my tattoos are related to the history of England. And if anyone knows the history of England, I'm sure you do, we were a nation of pirates and, smugglers. So my tattoos are all to do with the history of the pirates, the pirates here and the pirate ship and the pirate all that. So mine has like a relevance to what I'm interested in, and I love history. Uh, and when I try to explain to people here, and they say, "Oh right, okay," they can't get it. Some of them can't get it. But the people say here, normally people with tattoos is the same as Japan. Like they think that they are bad people and they try and avoid them. But that time in Japan, every it, the worst place I've been to for that kind of action that was being pushed towards me, where people were avoiding me. They really were in the parks, and when I was going into I can't remember the burger place there, but there's a burger place there. It's a bit like McDonald's, but it's not. And t-shirt, and you can see people looking, but because they are not rude people, they would like look and then quickly look away. But I knew what it was all about. But I've never heard a video done about this, about coming to Asia with tattoos, because many of us, Westerners do. Now, depending on where you are, if you're in a big city, Manila, Cebu, or like in other countries, Seoul in South Korea, or Tokyo in Japan, it's probably not frowned upon as much. But depending on the generation, depending if they are older people, younger people, I did notice a couple of young people in South Korea with tattoos, only small, nothing like mine, the bloody sleeves, aren't they? But nevertheless, and I got some compliments of a couple of the South Korean people who did have the tattoos. Oh, I like tattoos. Where do you get them done? And blah blah blah. But just bear it in mind, especially if you go on to China as well, China, Japan. Just bear it in mind to maybe cover them up at certain places. If you go into an onsen, you can't cover them, but they won't let you in. But apparently there are onsens where you can go if you have body art tattoos. But I didn't go, once I was refused into that one. And I wasn't offended, I was just like a bit taken aback. But then that's their custom. That's their culture. And as I said, there's certain generations in Japan where if you have tattoos, you are related or you are involved in some kind of nasty syndicate. That's what they think, even today. But here in the Philippines, it's not so bad because I think here they are more open-minded. But in these provinces, not so much. In Dipolo, I see many, but not really my age. It's the younger generation who have tattoos. But here, I don't know how it would affect you getting a job here in the Philippines with tattoos. I've never seen any military with tattoos. I've never seen any police with tattoos. And when I've been to the attorneys here, there's certain bits and pieces, and they have like t-shirts on or something like that. I've never seen them with tattoos. And I do look, actually. I do kind of observe it just to see, but I haven't seen any with. I'm not saying there isn't, but I've never seen any with. But it's just what I was thinking about, and I thought I've never seen a video about it, and because we are in Southeast Asia, but I just thought it was worth mentioning. But here, no one looks at me now with the tattoos. They all know me. I don't think anyone judges in the Philippines Western people with tattoos as much. But when my wife said to me before, when we were going 3,000 steps, Stephen, put like a long sleeve on, people will think you're an addict. I said, what? People, why? Because you got tattoos. I said, but they're not prison tattoos. I've never been to prison in my life. And I've never been part of any organisation or untoward gang in my life. But she said, yeah, but they don't know that. Oh, yeah, true. But there we have it. Anyway, people, that's it. Just a very quick video on that. Listen, I'm over and out. Catch you next time. Take care, people. Bye-bye.